It sounds like a fable.
Right.
The turtle may catch up.
Turtle might catch up.
Excellent, excellent. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the April 7th, 2022 River Falls Plan Commission meeting. First thing we'll do is stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Emily, could we have a roll call, please?
Here?
Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the March 1st, 2022 Plan Commission meeting. I'll take a motion.
I move for approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Now we have public comments. If anyone in the audience has comments about a non-agenda related topic? No? We'll move on to ordinances and resolutions. We've got a public hearing on a resolution to approve the general development plan for South Pointe First Addition. First, we have a presentation from Kendra Elner.
Hello, Plan Commission and Chair O'Dean. I'm Kendra Elner, planner here. And yes, tonight we will talk about the general development plan for the South Pointe First Addition. So GMTZ LLC is requesting approval for a GDP for South Pointe First Addition, an 8.92 acre property consisting of 29 single-family housing units at 3.3 density per acre. The project will complete the entire South Pointe development, initially approved as a two-phase plan in 2005. Phase 1 was on the western portion of the site, and parts of Phase 2 around Aurora Circle have been developed since and then shown in the aerial photo. So pictured here was the originally approved GDP for the entire development in 2005. The northeastern part of the development had been planned for 23 single-family homes, and a revised plan for this part of the property was previously submitted and reviewed at Plan Commission in 2018. However, the process was not completed, thus warranting an updated GDP for approval now. So as I mentioned, this project is an 8.92 acres out of the original 32 acre planned unit development. So the property will have a variety of housing styles, including single story, two-story, twin homes, and villa style homes. It is anticipated that the area north of Steelhead Drive, lots 35 through 42, will typically be single family housing units. And the area to the south and east of Steelhead Drive, lots 43 through 63, will be tailored to senior housing units. And the anticipated public improvement construction will be this spring, with home construction tentatively beginning in the summer of 2022, and the anticipated full build out is about 1 to 2 years. So the proposed development has some deviations from the zoning standards, specifically regarding the variation in lot sizes from standard single-family zoning, and thus necessitating the flexibility of a PUD GDP. So these deviations are recommended to be approved along with the conditions in the resolution. In addition, further site plan considerations will be requested from the developer. Specifically, lots 35 through 42 will require infiltration treatments, and some lots will need individual site plan review to comply with steep slope and shore ordinances. Further, lots 42 through 50 will be requested to have additional landscape screening to provide a buffer along the rear yards abutting State Highway 29. So these specific issues have been enumerated as conditions of approval for the general development plan. So staff has reviewed these plans as a basis determining the acceptability of the GDP PUD and believes it satisfies all the criteria specified in the municipal code. It is consistent with the comprehensive plan, official map, and provides many public benefits. So a specific implementation plan will be submitted after the GDP is approved So it will provide detailed civil, architectural, and stormwater plans. So staff is recommending that the Plan Commission forward this resolution to council with a favorable recommendation. So if it's recommended tonight, it will move on to council approval on the 26th of April. So I will turn it back to you. And if you have any questions or comments.
Thank you, Ms.
council.
Elmer. Does anyone have any questions?
I just really quickly, what's a villa style home?
So they're smaller lots, and honestly,
I looked it up.
There's very small, very much smaller lots. Let's see. It's hard to see
If-
here.
If I may,
Yes.
and they're typically, they share a wall with an abutting
Okay.
single story.
So they're
house.
like,
They're kind of like townhomes, but on one level, I
right,
think.
like garden home
Yeah.
kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
And I was gonna ask, what are the lot sizes? Excuse me, what are the lot sizes width-wise?
Width-wise, that's a good
It looks like there's
question.
a number there, but it's so small. Because then my next concern
Sorry. So I've asked about the actual size of the lots because they look awfully close, and then my next concern would be windows and privacy type issues.
Yeah. So there are varying lot sizes.
And I'm more
So-
interested, in say 50 through 43.
It's hard to tell. So they have a square footage, and I'm sorry, I can't
You can't tell the width. Okay.
see like.
Will you know by the time you come back to us?
So if I can jump in for just
Yeah.
a minute, if you think about some of the development just north of here in Spring Creek, or also out in Highview Meadows around Tremont Lane, this is the same kind of style, I believe, that they're looking at. So they're the longer, slender, slab-on-grade homes, attached garage.
So probably
If
a
you can
garage in
think
the
of
back, because
those.
that's the other one. The garages are in back, the living's up front. And then there's just not really a front yard. There's a porch and
Yeah, depending on what you're calling the front. I mean, the driveways are coming right off the street here.
okay.
So-
Okay.
Yeah, so if you think, okay, Cemetery Road, if you're heading south on Main and you turn right on Cemetery,
Correct.
on the south side, think of those
Right.
units.
Right.
Yeah,
Like little cottages.
correct. Yeah, except those are rear loaded.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where I was. Do you know? I know you weren't here, and I wasn't on the commission. Do you know why why it's been 4 years? They brought their first plan to us in 2018, and it just hasn't gone. It
Yeah.
just the COVID and
We could not find the documents that approved the plans in 2018. So
And I just have one other, it's an observation. And on page 4, there's the additional site plan considerations,
Mhm.
and lot 36 is not included in there. I'm assuming it should be. And then, so that's also with the resolution. Lot 36 is not included in our resolution.
it says 35 through 38, and then
No, it says portions of the lots 35, 37, 38, 39, 40. And,
that might have just been a.
yeah,
Little
I'm
typo,
just, it's in the
sorry.
resolution.
Oh,
So,
Yeah, that's good
yeah,
to
it's
know.
the second paragraph, not the first paragraph, but the second paragraph, unless for some reason 36 isn't included.
it is. So thank you. We will look that over.
Do we need to have an amendment to add that in?
I don't see why it would hurt, unless
We-
for
we-
some reason it
So we
doesn't.
can, we can do that housekeeping right here, I think.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well,
It is
or
part
we
of
can
this.
refer to, we can approve it with that caveat and have staff double check and have the corrected resolution before city council.
Okay,
Excuse me, may I note that it says portions of lots 35, excuse me, we're skipping 36, are within the shoreland buffer. And if you look at the map, 36 is not. It doesn't appear.
Okay, so it doesn't.
Oh, yes,
It
you're
appears that's
absolutely
the
right.
only one that does not appear.
Oh, I
Solid
thought you were talking about
line.
the steep slopes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Solid line is the buffer,
Yep.
and you're right,
So that
36
would
is
be
not.
the omission there.
I thought you were talking about steep slopes.
I'm just looking at the portions of the lots 35, 37, 8, 9.
Yes, and yeah, and paragraph 3 is talking about the shoreland buffer area. So yeah, that would be the one lot that and 41. No, 41 is included in that. So that would be the only one that's not.
Correct.
Okay.
I guess I have a question about 38 and 39 and residents, future residents in those properties. Are they restricted in outbuildings and like garden sheds and things like that? Or does the footprint size not matter that those can be included? I'm just curious about that. It looks like on those 38 and 39 that with that buffer, it looks like it's kind of a restrictive place to put any structures, and I just didn't know if there was any margin on that. I'm just curious.
The plans that were submitted do have enough area to do a patio or deck in the back, so you could have a shed or something located a little bit closer to the house, but not further beyond.
In that buffer zone, okay.
Right, and to build any structure like that, they need a permit. So
Okay, thank you.
although it also does look like, 36, those two with the steepest slopes are probably a similar lot size to some of the other lots in the neighborhood, I would think. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, if not, I will close the commission meeting and open a public hearing. So if there is anyone who would like to make any comment about this proposal? No, if not, okay, I will close the public hearing and open up the commission hearing again. And I will entertain a, is there any other discussion about this? Okay, if not, I will entertain a motion on the resolution to approve the general development plan for South Pointe First Addition.
I'll move.
I'll second.
First and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Now we have some reports. The first is a discussion regarding notification requirements for planning permits, and we'll bring Ms. Elner up again. A resident expert for the evening.
You have me tonight. Okay, well, good evening again. So this presentation, we will review the notification requirements and practices for planning permits. So in 2021, the City Council amended its special use permit ordinance to require a 500-foot notification requirement rather than a standard 300 feet. And that notification is to be sent to residents as well as standard property owners, or as well as property owners. So that action initiated this topic to further provide background for Plan Commission to discuss whether to proceed additional changes or determine that the current requirements are satisfactory. So the items listed here are the planning permits and notification distances from the municipal code or when staff have gone above and beyond to notify citizens. So as you can see, municipal code, we have the home occupations, historic preservation, specifically special use permits, it is owner and resident. And then, okay. So here's a visual that shows the notification boundaries for 700 South Main redevelopment as an example. From this, you can see each ring represents the distance at which the property owners will be notified and but not residents. So those parcels that are highlighted, so in the yellow, it's 300 foot, 500 foot in purple, and 1,000 feet in pink. And to the right is the table with the approximate number of property letters that would be sent to each owner in the buffer area. So the bulk of the cost to send notifications is for staff time in preparing the letters and mailings. So as the number of mailings increase, so do the costs. And staff has investigated the cities of Hudson and Eau Claire to offer some perspective on their approach to notifications. So as you can see, Hudson does not have many notification requirements, while Eau Claire has similar to specific set of standards. So while the purpose of public notification is to alert property owners of changes that may affect their property if a planning permit is applied for in the adjacent area, these policy items to consider include distance for which the notification takes place, who is notified, either property owners or residents, and which permit should require notification. As discussed in the staff report, other items to consider is how much notification is too much and NIMBYism. So to date, staff has not had any additional public concerns about more notification being needed at this time, but it is being brought to you tonight. So staff suggests consistency among notification practices to help both public and staff to understand the city processes. So I will turn it back to Chair Odine and Plan Commission for further discussion.
Does anyone have any questions?
I guess I do with regard to how we're, in this particular example, is it 300 feet from the center of the development, or is it 300 feet from the outside boundary of a development?
So we try to do the outside boundary
Okay.
just because if we do the middle, that won't really.
Right, and I was,
encompass
maybe I'm
everybody.
just looking at this example.
I think it's demonstrative rather than actual.
Right, okay. So that
Correct.
was,
It's an example, so.
right, so I didn't, yeah, it's, if that entire block is being developed, then it would be, and which it is, if I'm correct, you would want to go 300 feet out from that. I just wanted that clarification, so.
Right.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I guess I'm curious, it's PUD are voluntary notifications, but rezonings are required. And I mean, a PUD is essentially a rezoning, so I'm curious what the distinction is between the PUD and the rezoning, why one's required and one's just a courtesy.
Well, PUDs do get notified in the paper, so that is the one distinction. And
Oh, so that's considered the public notice.
correct,
Okay, so there's a different way of notice.
Okay.
yes. So, and
And what paper is that currently?
it's,
The Pierce County, no, it's the Pierce County
It's
Herald,
the
isn't it?
Pierce County Journal, I believe. It's changed multiple times recently.
yeah, and there's different levels, so there's first and second class notices, so depending.
So that's the only place someone would get a notice is if they know what paper to be reading.
Or if they go into City Hall and see the board.
Which is why our staff gives them a courtesy notice.
Correct.
And to me, it would seem like that should, maybe those two things should be consistent, because I mean, a PUD could be, you know, if we're talking about like the PUD where we agreed on, you know, we voted on today, that's what, 20 homes or whatever being built in somebody's neighborhood. So it seems like that would be equivalent to a rezoning for somebody to do a project. So I don't see why it wouldn't be the same notification.
So I would just add regarding the PUD that our PUD ordinance does not function like rezoning technically. It's an overlay district.
Okay.
So still the same kind of development, but maybe a different thought process to think about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
To back up a little, I think we're here on this issue because there was one council person who thought that for a special use permit, we weren't notifying enough people. However, maybe staff could correct me. I don't think there has been any feedback from the public that they're not getting enough notification. Is that correct?
That's correct.
If it's not broke, why fix it?
My personal opinion is we've changed the notification for special use permits. Let's see how that works. You know, let's see if we get significant more public feedback from that before we start, fixing things that aren't broken.
And the special use permit is the only one that the residents of the property specifically get notified.
Correct. And then on PUDs, we also notify the residents,
Okay.
just as a courtesy.
This is for, is there a log? So like when people call into the city for all their different problems or anything, do we maintain a log dog barking, people parking in the wrong, those type of things? Or do we just answer the phone and help them out and then move on?
I would need to check with the city clerk. I know that
Okay.
she keeps a number of reports and logs. I'm not sure if that's one of them or not.
Yeah,
So,
it'd be interesting to see what people do call about. Barking dogs would be number one in my at 2:00 in the morning.
I have a question regarding like renters versus tenants. This is specific to the property next to this one that's in the example, and they are a tenant of the building, and they weren't notified. And I don't know if it's because they just notified the building owner versus the tenants, or if is that specified somewhere? If it's a commercial property, do you notify the tenants or just the renters? Versus, what is the difference?
Are you
The
talking
owner.
about South Fork,
Yeah.
South Main
Yeah.
development?
Yeah.
I believe this change happened after that notification.
so 700 South Main was a PUD. We worked with the developer. So typically what we kind of adopted for PUDs was to talk to the developer and say, you must do some kind of public outreach with your project. Let us know what you'd like to do. We'll decide if we think it's enough or if you maybe need more. And then you can go forth. So for 700 South Main, they did a public open house on the property. They sent it out via Facebook, and I can't remember how the other ways that they sent it out. They had boards, and I don't know if 25 people showed up that evening to talk to the developer and get their questions answered. So this was simply an example to show you distance and what it would look like on a project. Yeah.
Anything else? Staff, do you have enough to go by?
Well, it is up to you guys to determine the next steps. So you could say the process is adequate and do nothing, direct us to modify one or multiple ordinances, or refer the item back to us and we can further investigate.
Then my perspective would be to send it back to you and say, let's not do anything yet.
And I would say a special use permit, that's different than, just a regular building type thing, because you might have someone who's got a yoga class and they've got 8 people and now they're parked in front of your front yard or whatever like that. But I would say, yeah, until there is someone who has a specific, or something goes wrong, I would definitely keep the special use permit at 500 feet and notify the residents as well as the property owner. But otherwise, I'm good with it.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the director's report and annual report.
All right, thank you. Hopefully you had a chance to take a look at both of the reports in your packet, but I did put together some slides on the annual report first, so I'll run through those. Thought it was a touch screen. Right? Make me push a button? No. Okay, so just a few of the strategic initiatives. I know that I've run through a number of those over the past year, just kind of give you updates on them, but I thought I'd pull out Man Valley specifically. So if you recall, back in 2018, we had this concept plan for Man Valley. We've kind of been running with that up until last year when we did the 30% design plans for Man Valley. And that really allowed us to gain a lot more information and determine that we may be able to develop Man Valley in phases. Previously, with this concept, we thought it was going to need to be put the infrastructure in for the entire, property. And sorry, I'm hearing the sirens. I'm thinking the tornado drill was this morning, but right. We should be fine then. So we have those 30% plans completed. We have some ideas on how we might be able to do the development differently. We're going to move into the next set of design plans in the near future here. So staff is continuing to push forward to meet the CIP funding targets that have the corporate park installed by 2024. Powell Avenue Bridge, we received notification, I believe it might have been last week, that we did receive grant funding from WISDOT for the 80/20 grant for Powell Avenue Bridge. So that's good news. Still slated for redecking in 2024. And updates on South Wasson Lane. I just wanted to let you know that planning and design for Wasson Lane is still continuing. There is a public information meeting that the DOT will be holding next Monday on the 11th at 5 p.m. in the training room if you're interested in providing comment on the design for that project. So. Okay, some info on building and development last year. The number of total housing permits is similar to 2020, between 2020 and 2021. However, the value is down in 2021. And if you take a look at this closely, you'll see it's primarily because of the multifamily permit value that was very high in 2020, the most that we'd seen in many years. So that's the change on the housing side. And actually in 2021, we were up in value for our commercial and industrial permits over 2020. So just run through some of the major projects. Of course, Tattersall top of the list. Hopefully you've all had a chance to get out there and experience that. That repurpose of that building has been pretty amazing for the community. So. The other large project, or one of the other large projects in the city, was Milltown and the adjacent park amenities that went along with that project. So we also we realigned Dry Run Road. We put in a parking lot for DeSanctis Park, and we will now have water and sewer connected to the Glover Schoolhouse building. I believe updates to that building are being completed, and the building might be able to be rented at this year. So
I know the siding's done. Looks really nice.
good. Yeah. Not so big a project, but I don't know. Was just amazing to watch the change on this building. It looks so good compared to what was there previously. So Falls Family Eye Care, and then they have 2 other suites that are filled. So that's a good addition along North Main. Paragon Terrace, they are still working to complete that project, but the vast majority of it is done now. And of course, Quick Trip number 3. How can we forget? The building that went up in record speed, I think. It was really fast. On the single family side, we had both Sterling Ponds 3rd edition and Highview Meadows 6th edition approved last year. So those projects will continue into 2022. Additional projects on our list from last year included the completion of our part of the capital improvement plan, the approval of code enforcement framework, which again you'll be seeing here shortly from staff for some ordinance modifications. And engineering department, as always with operations, completes the bulk of the annual maintenance of our city streets, curb and gutter, sidewalk, and sewer repairs as well. And the ArcGIS online transition, while the public hasn't noticed anything, city staff has. That project has been amazing in providing us updated resources to access our GIS system, which has been really great. Economic development, I just wanted to highlight a few things from there. So 31 requests for informations sent out in 2021, 9 business retention and expansion business visits, with existing businesses. The development agreement approved with BOH Electronics. 2 TIDs created, 17 and 18 last year. And this is one that we hadn't talked about a whole lot, but there were Main Street Bounce Back grants that were given out to River Falls businesses, and Carrie Schreiner, our economic development manager, needed to send letters with those applications, and 37 were provided within the city of River Falls for a total of over $370,000 last year. So that's really great. And of course, Carrie and Scott Simpson both staff the RFEDC as well. So on the planning and zoning side, permit numbers, planning permits and fence permits, et cetera, were similar numbers to 2020. But we did 5 ordinance revisions came through the Plan Commission. You can see those listed here. Any questions? Did I go back? Any questions on the annual report?
Good work. Thank you.
So then I'll just, the only update for the director's report, hopefully you noticed towards the end of your packet, there was an update from SRF Consulting on the Focus River Falls project. Did list a few things here. So for the comprehensive plan, staff met Tuesday, I believe. Tuesday. The days are just blurring right together. It's almost Friday, right? So staff met Tuesday and worked with the consultant on key themes for the comprehensive plan. So those will be getting fleshed out here shortly. The steering committee, you folks, will be meeting again in May. The Bike Ped committee met last night and was able to review some of the data that Alta had put together, which was very interesting. Unfortunately, they did postpone the walking tour because of the very lovely weather we've been having this week. So, for the outdoor recreation plan, staff did receive the park and rec inventory from the consultant this week. So that has been circulated among staff. We'll be getting comments back to the consultant hopefully next week. And they will have their next meeting in May.
So
Yes.
is there a way for us to see this stuff from like the bike ped and the outdoor rec side of the project? Is there like a shared website or somewhere where we can look at some? Because I just for my own interest, I'd like to see it if it's possible.
Yeah, so I would anticipate that once it gets through staff review, we'll get it up on Engage RF.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it'll be there. So also next week, we're hoping to get a mapping exercise up for the bike and ped plan so that folks can jump in, tell us, plop a location on the map and tell us there's a gap in the sidewalk, or, this shared bike lane doesn't function, or whatever the comment might be. Here's a great place for another trail, etc. So, yeah.
You have plans.
Very exciting.
Yes, so hopefully that'll be coming next week. I did a presentation on, this week to the Lions Club as well, just to give them some outreach. And next week I'll be at UWRF talking to the executive group there about the comprehensive plan and the engagement and such. So, yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for our community director? That's good. That's good.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much, Amy. Great. Would someone like to move to adjourn?
I move.
Oh, I was going to say, I haven't had a chance, so I will second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. I just don't want to